Some viewers may find the following video disturbing. Viewer discretion is advised.
Hey everyone, welcome back to Board Games Unlocked, and Ethan and I are doing a discussion over the Incursion section of Enormity. Now, obviously, this is the tabletop simulator and the demo of Enormity if you haven't been keeping up with our series. We've already done a discussion over the extraction, so this will be mainly talking about the actual boss fight. And I'm just more curious on Ethan's thoughts because this is kind of a taster for the fights because
Yeah.
I've done tons of these because
hmm
I've been playing ATO. So, Ethan, what do you think?
I think my thoughts were pretty similar to the extraction mode. Basically, I think the foundation is solid and there's like great potential. Since we were playing like the demo version of level one, it felt a little easy, but I can totally see when the difficulty ramps up, like what
Mm-hmm.
the tactics are like and how like, fun the extra difficulty would be. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, so I'm curious because there are some slight differences between if anyone's coming over here from Aeon Trespass, the the core structure is pretty much the same. Like they have a signature, they have a routine, um, they have their level one, two, and three AI and body parts. Um, they have their rules. The major differences that I've noticed, I'm curious what your thoughts are, even though you haven't played Aeon Trespass, is there's no. It almost seems simpler to run because there's no rolling to hit and
Yeah.
there's no extra damage dice. It's basically here's your damage. You
Yeah, it's
check the
all in one.
yeah, because in Aeon Trespass they have like a to hit value. So in this, let's just say it was 7. So your weapon would give you two d10s. You roll both those d10s. If both of them are 7 or higher, your weapon gave you a red die. So you would grab
Mhm.
two red dice, and your innate um, Titan red die. So you would grab those three reds. You would then look at the body part and see it's Aeon Trespass, or in this, the Anomaly Threshold. And then that's how much power you'd have to get to wound it. So there were two steps in Aeon Trespass on even wounding the thing.
Well, I'm glad that's not how it works here, to be honest. That seems a little fiddly, especially if we were doing TTS.
TTS, it would be a lot more fiddly. In the actual game, it doesn't come off that way, um, at least to me. But yeah, it's very kind. It is a small change, but it's kind of weird here to just be like, oh, let me just take my damage dice.
Yeah. I feel
Um,
like I wonder with how easy it ended up being for us if we were supposed to spawn extra enemies as like a little foible, but maybe when we get to higher levels, that's also that's pretty like
yeah,
unavoidable.
the only thing that I could find in the rules, and maybe I'm just completely missing it, was that there might be something of bosses who like reference these
Yeah, that
because
actually that makes total sense.
it said the noise, like the noise token, doesn't really do much in the incursion, but you um, still keep track of it because it's the priority target.
Yeah.
And so maybe these come up, and at higher levels they spawn. I have no idea.
Yeah. Interesting.
So
I
it is kind of fascinating. So it's funny because this kind of did exactly what I thought it would do because we have firearms. It's
like make it a
four
little bit easier.
it's 4 people with guns and one enemy.
Yeah.
So the one enemy can like yeah, they can bull rush and attack one person, but then everyone else just runs around and it's like, well, we're gonna stay out of your range. Now I think they counteract that by the fact that we have to manage ammo.
Yeah,
Like yeah,
ammo, and I'm sure the different bosses are going to have different like effects that will really make it things a lot harder. Like they'll be harder to
yeah,
hit, or they'll spawn additional enemies, things like that.
yeah.
So
This guy was interesting because it's like, oh, you're like, because if we miss, then we run out of ammo, and then it runs up, and then we're getting radiated because we have to either melee attack it or run away to go reload
yeah,
because I had that zone of radiation. And what does this say when it's flipped? Supernova. While Supernova is face up, do not place any radiation tokens on it. At the end of the round, perform Supernova. Zone 6 of a
Oh,
blast with 2 red. Blinded radiation 6 minus X, where X is your zone ring.
interesting.
And then it has a crit. So his Supernova actually has a critical, which is actually kind of fascinating because no boss attacks in like Aeon Trespass have criticals.
Yeah.
So
Huh.
that's kind of cool. That was kind of like a timer. I think we also got, I mean, it is a way of dice. I think we got lucky on its attacks.
Yeah. Well, it's like we missed a couple at first, and then all we had to do was like hit a couple times, and it seeded some stronger body parts, which let us grab extra wounds, So we did
Yeah,
kind of get lucky in the second half of
yeah.
the battle.
And the flow, I feel like we actually got to use the flow of the spacer pool. This shines a lot more in the battles, I think.
I did notice that. Like immediately, I was like, okay, actually, the tokens are going to be just a little bit more like we should figure out who goes first. So,
Mm-hmm.
like based on who's rolling what dice for their weapons, they need these tokens to counteract the shortcomings of those dice.
Exactly. Exactly. So
Um,
you kind of get that teamwork a little bit more in the boss fight than the extraction.
what do you think? I'm curious because you're like an ATO veteran. So, what are your thoughts on the whole like random body part thing? Because I'm gonna be honest, this gives me the same where you attack, but you end up attacking a random part of the monster, so it has totally different effects and health. It kind of gives me the same vibes as when you do an attack in Nemesis, and you're like, wow, I had a really good attack, and then you have to draw a random card, and it's like, actually, no, sorry, this card had 6 health, even though you rolled 4 damage. Sorry, like,
Uh,
I don't know if I like that to be
I
honest.
so that's definitely pulled from Kingdom Death. It's the
Yeah,
exact same thing. If you don't like it here, it's even worse in Kingdom Death,
really.
because at least in here you have a general idea, like
Yeah,
of how hard it's gonna be. At least I did because I've played it. I knew level ones. I didn't know they were gonna be fours, but I'm like, there's no way they'd be fives,
yeah,
and then the increases like that. In Kingdom Death, you just have a deck of cards, and you can draw into a trap, and then it just completely negates everything. Here, you're at least always attempting to wound something.
hmm
Um, it helps me because, like, when I role play in D&D, combat's my least favorite
yeah,
because it ceases to become a role playing game and starts to become a math, board game.
yeah.
But what
And
has
board
helped,
games suck.
and board games are ass.
Yeah,
What
exactly.
has helped me in D&D and both in this is I try to be thematic as much as I
Mhm.
can about the actions that I'm doing. Now it's easier for me to do that and be animated when I'm playing the physical game
Yeah.
versus TTS because I'm at a keyboard trying to just figure out how everything is working on TTS. But I like it. I definitely see why what you're saying. It's like, oh, I rolled damage. Now let's because I think in Nemesis it's I roll damage. Now let me see if that succeeds.
Yeah.
Whereas in this, you get to see what you're hitting, and you at least get it feels less disappointing, I guess.
Yeah. It's not as bad as Nemesis. I guess I kind of like the idea more if you could somehow choose which body parts you want to attack. Like each body part has like pros and cons to
Yes,
it, and you could
and
like weigh the
Kingdom
options.
Death you do. Like let's say you get
Okay.
4 hits, you would draw 4 cards, and if none of them were the trap, you would get to look at them unless they said first strike. Then you'd have
Yeah.
to target that one first, but then you'd be like, oh, it's his elbow, his knee, his urethra, and his eye.
Yeah.
Let's go after this one first. You can kind of seed, the worst cards.
hmm
Here it is just the one card um, that you're responding to,
Yeah.
but the way that it's helped me is kind of like whenever you're playing D&D is when you're attacking, they're not just standing there. Even though physically, yes, the game they are just standing there. But like this creature is like flying and laser beams, and we're feeling radiation. If it helps me personally, if I try and think of it as a thematic experience as a whole, that oh, I was going to shoot it. Let's say I was aiming for his body part, like I was aiming for his head, and whenever I drew the wing and I missed, he like shielded his head with his wing.
Yeah.
You
I guess
know.
that yeah.
Now that makes it a little bit more difficult to kind of justify whenever it's a gun. Like if I was going to attack you, in your I don't know, in your chest, and then you go to block with like your femur. I don't know how you do that, but like my punch might be less effective. And it's like here, well, the gun's the gun.
Yeah.
Now it could still be like, oh, I'm shooting, and the wing happened to be more like more sturdy. that's why that attack didn't work as well.
Yeah.
You gotta kind of give and take. Because I also don't like deterministic combat. I would absolutely hate it if I could see exactly what I could shoot and just do it.
Well, I guess like I like the idea that like because I like the idea that each body part, like when you hit it, something bad's gonna happen, and I like the idea of having like an assortment of options. Like if we deal out the monster and it has 5 body parts, and wow, hey, we could, if we really want to kill it, we could attack this weaker wound threshold, but
Mm-hmm.
it does way worse things, right? And I like if we could somehow like weigh that in our head. Or
Oh,
so you could be like, oh, I don't want to get irradiated, so I'm not going to shoot his shoulder that has the radiation pack on it or whatever. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
I'm
almost
already
like
close to being irradiated.
almost like this Mothman board here had like body part sections that you aimed at.
Yeah, it's kind of video gamey, I guess, that
Yeah.
idea. But like for instance, like just the idea that like, all right, I'm gonna attack you with my character who has 3 radiation, and then you just draw the card that says, oh, if you attack, deal 2 radiation. You're like, okay, well actually I wouldn't have done that if I'd known
Yeah.
like what is my character shooting at his radiation bulb? Like she wouldn't do that if she was this irradiate. You know what I mean? It's
Sure.
just kind of it's a little weird to me,
Yeah.
but
So
it's
you
not
just
like
want to play
game breaking.
Monster Hunter.
I guess it's not game breaking. It's just it
Yeah.
kind of gave me those same vibes as Nemesis when you're like, I finally got a good roll, and then the deck goes, yeah, and we drew the highest health, so it doesn't mean anything, and you're like, oh, okay, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Um, that stuff is definitely alleviated in, I would imagine, the full game because
Yeah, we can build around it.
exactly, and that's the thing in like ATO, for example, you develop tech. So in ATO Cycle 1, there's 3 major monsters, and the more you fight them, the more you unlock tech about them, and that
Yeah,
gives you gear specifically equipped to fight them.
that's kind of cool.
A good
Yeah,
example is there's like these um, like pickaxes on ropes, and they significantly reduce knockback. Which in this
mm,
case is like, oh, knockback 5, you just get moved 5. And
yeah,
fighting that monster, the edges of the board are a cliff. So if you get knocked back off, you just die.
yeah.
So
Interesting.
because you know that that creature does a bunch of knockback, there's a character that you can build out for that's kitted to just completely reduce knockback. Um, and I imagine they're going to be doing something similar here. Now, in this demo, this feels like, oh, you're not fighting Mothman over and over because he was kind of killed
Yeah,
in the demo. No idea if that's what they're going to do in the base game, um, but that's kind of the idea. Is that you eventually learn the enemies, and you know, okay, here's what he can do. We fought him 5 times. We know his level 1, his 6 body part cards. We don't know which it is, but we know at least what they can do, and so on
yeah,
and
that
so
makes
forth.
sense to me.
Um, but I mean, those concerns are completely valid if you're meant to be this. What's your class for Papa? Security. If you're meant to be
Yeah,
like the security division hired on the ship, you would imagine you have a little bit more control.
yeah,
But I've always made that same argument in D&D where it's like, how can I miss whenever I'm like an expert swordsman?
yeah,
Well, it's because it's not just you and him standing right here
yeah.
turn
He's
based fight.
responding and
He's
moving,
responding
and
like you go to shoot and he like quick jerks away and then it just nicks and bounces ricochets off his wing.
yeah,
But while he's doing that, then Aubrey runs up and just as he lands, she takes a shot and shoots him in the foot.
yeah.
So I've always really enjoyed uh, the wound instinct responses that they have.
Yeah. And like I said, when it gets more difficult, I like the idea of, especially if this is a rogue like where you're like coming back and replaying levels. Yeah, that makes more sense. That
Yeah,
you're gonna level and build specifically for certain bosses, and that's kind of cool. Like I
yeah.
like that idea.
I mean, just from the items that we got, like the Mothman suit, which I don't
Yeah.
know where it is. Where'd they
Oh,
go?
because I loaded back
Oh,
to the
that's
previous
right.
save.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh, it's significantly better.
Yeah.
Like it's like 10 times better. Yeah, there it is. Like not only do you get a reflex, which that would come in more handy if the enemy didn't have unlimited movement, because
Yeah.
that's an anomaly. Like normally they have movement, and let's say it has a movement of 4, and it's gonna run up on Aubrey. So she's the target. So it's gonna move 4. She could take a stress or spend an expertise to reflex, which lets her move back. So he's still targeting her, but now she's out of range. Stuff like that, where you do
Yeah.
get to kind of react to what it's doing. But the solar sail, during your next move action, you can spend 2 expertise and take a stress to move a space more. Gives you an innate strength, an innate shield, and just more slots.
Yeah.
Like that's huge. On that's just like you know stripped down immediately from this Eva suit.
Dude, no kidding. Yeah, these look great. I can't wait to give Daddy a moth suit. He's gonna be even sexier.
That's true. That's so true. Um, so yeah, gives us kind of a taste of the hopefully amount of suits you can get, and I like that. I like that the suit is based off the boss we just killed.
Yeah, which is really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, so yeah, to be honest, other than that mode, I don't have much more to say than like you said, this is a taster. Like
Hmm.
I can totally see like in a full experience, um, the tactics will be richer, the choices will be richer,
Yeah.
but it'll be a little harder.
Yeah. I really want to
So
see how they navigate around 4 people with firearms, because again, that's kind of like Remnant, where one boss, like he can hyperfixate on one, but that's still the 4 of us getting to shoot him from a distance.
I'm sure you'll end up getting like multiple attacks, like it'll target multiple people,
Yeah.
with one would be my guess. So
Yeah, I wish that these covers mattered more, but just the fact that these are here, like where it's like, oh, we need to get behind because I might be the target, so that way I can reduce, instead of it's 2 red attack, it's a red and a white.
yeah.
Um, but yeah, I don't hate the fact that it's just rolling damage, because also the major difference in ATO is you roll to evade in
Mm,
ATO. So like their attack card, like that's body part. Their AI card would have something on it that would basically be like it would have an evasion threshold, which could be like a 9. So you have to roll a certain number of dice to try and get a 9 or higher to avoid the damage you're getting.
yeah.
Here, it kind of goes against that because it to me the damage in here feels more random. Because if
Hmm.
I flip the attack card and let's say an ATO, it's like this: each attack deals 1 damage, but I'm forced to roll 4 evasion dice that I need a 10 or higher to get. Okay, well I know my max damage is 4
Hmm.
because that's what I have to roll. Maybe I'll get some 10s and it's less. And then you have armor and stuff. But here it feels like it could be more swingy
Yeah.
because it's just, it's 2 reds of damage.
Well, and that was part of our luck is that a lot of times when the Mothman attacked, he kind of whiffed his rolls a little bit.
Yeah.
So that was another big luck element. If he was rolling like, 6 damage, it's a totally different story
Yeah,
in the video we just
exactly.
recorded.
So it's different here. It feels more typical in here where the enemy actually rolls against you versus you constantly rolling for yourself.
Yeah.
I prefer it the way it's done in ATO, even though the evasion is usually insanely high, and if it's not high, it's a bad card. Like it's like, oh, I only have to get a 6 to evade. Oh, but if I don't evade, I die. Okay, that's cool. Like
Yeah.
they're usually that's the give and take. Um, so yeah, they didn't fully copy it, but the structure is still the same. I think if they're meaning this, and that's the big difference, is Enormity is meant to be a Metroidvania roguelike, run through it. So I think that's why they pulled the numbered dice out. It's
Yeah.
quicker. This was way quicker than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah, it was. And to be fair, some of that is a little bit of the luck with our dice rolling,
Yeah.
and it being a level one. So
Yeah. And we only get 7. Normally, I would imagine it's always 10.
yeah. Like I said, I can totally see when you're in a really hard boss fight, you're gonna spend a lot more time being like, okay, actually we should maneuver this way and do this, and you know what I mean? Like so like again, like to me, it's the same. I feel the same about the extraction mode. Like the foundations are pretty solid. The potential's great.
Mm-hmm.
So, I'm sure playing the full game, it's everything will just be a lot richer. Which is what a demo should be like, right? It's like a little trailer
Yeah,
for the
it's
game.
like,
So
hey, if you like what you're playing in this demo, if you like the way this boss fight works, then it's just going to be, better in every way.
yeah. Now, again, I'll reiterate, in case you didn't watch the first video on our extraction mode. Yeah. Do I think the potential is good enough for me to drop $450? No. Would I consider doing the $90 standee version for one campaign? Yeah, probably.
Hmm.
If I had money to burn right now, I'd be like, yeah, this is interesting enough. I'll try out the one campaign with, not the miniatures.
Yeah.
And if you really need to have miniatures, I don't think one campaign for what is it, like 140 for the version with
I
miniatures?
I have not looked at any lower pledge. I'm all
Yeah,
in.
you just went all in. Yeah. Yeah. So to me, I'm not immediately wild enough to be like, I want 5 campaigns of this. You know,
Yeah.
I'd be like, yeah, I'd be willing to try out the $90 version.
Yeah, where the fact that they say it's an unlimited game, you probably should
Yeah,
just only need the core.
yeah,
Let's stack
because
more unlimited on it.
yeah, that's okay. That's what I'm saying, right? This is kind of like we could do a whole discussion on this idea, the whole Kickstarter thing. If it's meant to be you replay a campaign over and over like a roguelike, you don't need 5 campaigns. One is enough. One is enough. So yeah,
That is
if I had
very
money to
true.
burn right now, $90 I could see being pretty reasonable. I'm probably still not going to get it just because I don't have money to burn and I
Yeah.
haven't finished Frosthaven.
I know,
So
dude. I
um,
don't know if I mentioned it last time, but I was keeping track um, of how many campaign games I have at my house right now.
yeah.
It's over 20.
And how many have you finished?
Those are the ones I haven't finished. Those are what I still have left to do.
Wow.
And I cannot tell you, I probably have more, probably at least 10, 15, maybe even over 20 campaign games on the way.
Oh my goodness. Yeah.
Unlimited gaming, and that's not even including like I don't have Aeon Trespass on here because
Yeah.
but I still have all of that to do.
Yeah.
Um, but from a mega fan of Aeon Trespass, I I'm glad they didn't like completely restructure the fight. The
Yeah.
incursion was very good. I'm actually excited to kind of see how they do it because again in Aeon Trespass it's very curated the entire
Yeah.
cycle. It's like the beats are it's like we know where you're going to be when you fight this, we know where you're going to be when you fight this, and you fight the same enemy over and over. Now they get higher level and they get more traits and more abilities and stuff. I'm curious how they're going to do that here because of the excursion mode. So it's it's going to be very interesting how they go about it. I think what's going to be a bigger difference between Enormity and ATO is the how often these things spawn,
Yeah.
and how often you're being pulled to the side to stop your run and deal with this. And you know what? Just for shits, where is it? If we lost 2034, um, okay, so you feel like you're about to vomit. Radiation is breaking your body down at a rapid pace. Pain clouds your mind, but you know you would have preferred to die like the others. Incinerated in a cleansing flame. Not this. Not this. Your decaying eyes see only dancing lights, but you know in your heart, no, deeper, in your very soul, that something beautiful and blasphemous is about to be born, and you will be his first meal.
So we would have opened a different envelope.
Oh, okay.
So
Nice.
it looks like for the demo because we just did the temple, right? So
Yes.
it looks like these are the last two that we have for the demo, and there you open which one depending on whether or not you succeed or fail. So it
Yep.
looks like we have
So
the
it's a
last
fail
level.
forward, which is
Yeah.
amazing. Well, in this sense, and try again. But what's curious, because this kind of might help explain the theming around why you were like, oh wait, Aubrey dies and we just extract. In the
Hmm.
full game, you would have life spares to download your consciousness into,
Ah,
allowing you to go elsewhere in the ship, build your strength, and eventually return. So it looks
interesting.
like there is kind of like a soma thing where our consciousness is downloaded into another body.
Yeah.
Oh, that's the sci-fi way around that, I guess.
Hmm.
But I think that's cool. I
You're
like the
just
idea of
cloning.
yeah, we're just cloning ourselves. Yeah, I like that.
We're
Now,
prestiging ourselves.
I guess it's not necessarily fail forward, but oh, there we go. Yeah, so it is what it is. I mean, I will never, unless I die in like the first 5 minutes, I will never redo a boss fight.
Yeah.
It's like, well, that was that, and just move on.
If you get close enough,
Yeah,
you beat it.
yeah, pretty much. So I very much enjoyed the incursion mode. I think it'll
Hmm.
be a nice addition because if this game was just the extraction, I don't know if I'd be so into it, but I like the idea of the bosses. And because the
Yeah.
bosses are amazing in ATO, it's not gonna feel like a slog here.
I can totally see like one session as being like we do one extraction and one incursion, and then
Mm-hmm.
call it a night.
Yeah.
Here's my question to you. Do you want to play out like whatever the last mission of this demo is?
Yeah.
Since it seems like there's only one left. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, I'm liking it. I don't know where you're feeling on it.
Yeah, I guess if there's one level left, I'm willing to try the last level.
Yeah. Just play out the demo
Might as
and
well.
just see what other new stuff it's throwing in here.
Yeah, it looks like this next bit is the last bit because otherwise there's some alternative rules over here for veterans. It looks like, but I don't think anything else too crazy.
Yeah.
Because there's no new monster minis or anything. So it looks like this is,
It
after
kind of
this.
seems like that. So this will give us kind of a taste of how another excursion on a map we're familiar with goes, because it
Yeah.
looks like that we extracted here, and then now we might have to run and leave from whatever was, uh, you know, spawned from killing the Mothman.
Yeah. Yeah, that
So
makes sense. That's what it looks like to me.
yeah, um, I know it's definitely arbitrary because it's definitely a demo and stuff. I don't know if your feelings have changed too much, but what would you rate the incursion mode?
See, I don't know because I feel like it was very easy for
Yeah.
us with the level one. So again, I don't know. I mean, if I feel the same about it, I guess it's like and it's a demo, all that. So asterisk, asterisk, asterisk. It's like it's a solid 7 out of 10.
Yeah.
For a demo, I feel like that's pretty
Yeah,
generous.
that's exactly where I'm at too. Even though the boss fight is pretty much a fight from ATO,
Yeah,
for this it's two halves of a whole.
exactly.
So
Yeah.
I mean, with both of them together, I know the average is still 7.
Mhm.
But I guess we'll see how this final extraction goes, and that'll give a full, maybe more full taste. But yeah, for the
Yeah.
incursion, I'm also going to give it a 7 because it was pretty easy. The beginning, it was kind of like, oh shit, we're going to keep missing, but they
Mhm.
just flood you with tokens.
Yeah.
And that's the other thing is as our adrenaline goes up, we get so many tokens in ATO. Even if you're at rage, or yeah, rage 5 or 6, you're leaving like 2.
Mhm.
But
I
it's
would also like to again reiterate for people who haven't seen our ratings discussion. 7 out of 10 is a good score. In case
yes,
anybody's like, that's
yes.
really low. 7 out of 10 is really good.
Wow, the Enormity demo from a game that isn't even fully finished, you only gave it a 7. This thing's a 9. It's like,
Yeah.
no, it's not. Now,
It-
could it be when it's fully here and it's completely fleshed out? Absolutely. I have no reason to
yeah.
think that I would think anything less of this game.
Yeah.
But as a demo,
Well, and
um,
like you said, it's a taster. Like I really like that word.
yes,
Like you take a bite out of a cheeseburger and you can be like, that bite was 7 out of 10, but like that's because you had one bite of the burger. Like
exactly. I
there's
mean,
like
and for a
80% left of the
demo,
burger.
like I almost got to give them props for just how much is in this demo.
Yeah, it's kind of like voice narration and everything
Yeah.
already in the demo is very impressive to me.
It's so I mean, I'm still having fun.
Yeah.
Like, which I mean says a lot because there could have been easily a point in this game and how it ran where I'm just like, I'm done.
Yeah.
But
Well, and
yeah,
imagine playing this demo in person too.
that's true. I would have
That's
also enjoyed it better that way.
yeah.
So yeah. Well, you have anything else?
I don't think so.
All right. Well, that is our thoughts on the incursion mode for Enormity. Yeah, I guess stick around for the rest of the series and like, comment, share, and subscribe, and have a wonderful whatever time of day it is for you.
Hey everyone, thank you for watching, and I really hope that you enjoyed the video. If you would like to see more of my content, go ahead and click that subscribe button and the bell to be notified whenever I upload any new content. If you feel like supporting the channel, you can go ahead and click that Patreon link to be taken to my Patreon, and any help is truly appreciated. Other than that, stick around for any other run-throughs or reviews or cool top 10s or whatever I feel like putting on. Other than that, like, comment, share, and subscribe, and have a wonderful whatever time of day it is for you.